All right, we are here with Evan Bynoe. Hi, Evan.
Hi,
Good
how
to
are
talk
you?
to you. Thank you for taking the time to share a little bit of your journey as a tennis player. I would like, please, for you to introduce yourself to the people that are seeing us or listening to us.
Okay. I'm Evan Bynoe. I'm 21 years old, and I am a senior. I'm a captain of the Cornell men's tennis team. I'm a senior, and I'm an aspiring tennis professional. So after I graduate, I want to go play on the pro tour.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. So what we're gonna do now, Evan, is we're gonna try to go back at your very beginnings and have like that journey together. I know it's difficult to compress sometimes so much time in a 30 minutes, 45 minutes, but we'll do our best. So please, would you tell me how did you start to play tennis?
Honestly, it was a bit of a almost a coincidence in that I started with soccer, and my sister, my older sister, also played soccer, and it was only that a teammate of my older sister's also played tennis, and there was just one day that her father couldn't take her to practice, and so my mom took that girl instead and had to bring her to the tennis courts. And I guess when my mom saw this girl playing tennis, she's like, "Oh, actually, I really like this. I want my kids to do this." So then we started playing both soccer and tennis, and then somewhere along the line, both of us chose to drop soccer and then just focus fully on tennis.
And how old you were when that happened?
I started tennis when I was 7. Well, actually, the thing is, I started when I was 6, and then I think it's Hurricane Wilma came and kind of destroyed the court. So we took 2 lessons, and then
Wow.
so we dropped it. We started in September of 2005, and then there was a hurricane, and then we kind of just forgot about tennis. The courts were destroyed, and we came back to it in April 2006, and then that's when we kind of started playing officially, where we didn't stop from there.
Okay. And when you started playing officially, how was that? Was once a week, twice a week?
Yeah,
Uh,
I would do like private. We would just do once a week. It started like 1 hour on Saturdays, and then I don't know exactly the timeline, but I know somewhere as we got a little more advanced, we started playing twice a week. I would play on Tuesdays and Thursdays for like an hour and a half, and then when I was probably around 9 or 10, I was playing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I remember I was begging my parents to let me play more, but that was just they just had me doing 3 times a week until we went to the advanced group, or then I joined a group that started playing Monday through Friday. So I was doing 5 days a week.
and where was that? Was that here in Florida? Were you guys
Yeah, it
living
was it
here?
was
Yeah,
in Parkland. Yeah, it was in
in
Parkland,
Parkland.
Florida. There was a place called Terramar Park, and there was a tennis coach there named Kenneth Collins, and he had a program there. And it's very Parkland's a very small town, but actually it had a really good group of kids that we actually kind of just lived in the same area, went to school together, and it was a good place to practice there.
Oh, nice, nice. So you were among friends playing tennis.
Yeah.
Nice. And one question that I ask everyone, because this is, I think, so relevant for the development, what was your parents' role in all this? Were they active, trying to teach or trying to coach, or they were just the parents that drop you there and you do your stuff?
I would say it was a little bit in between in that um, my parents, they didn't play tennis, so they didn't they weren't an authority, and they weren't able to teach technique. But my especially my mom was very involved in that. She would come to practice, but she wasn't the type of parent that would go and start lecturing the coach. I know several coaches I've played with, they've always come and said that your parents are angels compared to some of the other people they have to deal with. But at the same time, they were very always trying to kind of push to make us better. So like my mom would she didn't know enough about tennis, but she would do some research, reading about techniques, and then just make little suggestions here or there, where she's saying, okay, I'm not the authority, and obviously your coach is the person that's going to help you develop the most. But she would take us out to hit on the weekends and take us out to practice our serve, like when we weren't at practice. So I think they were both a little bit hands-on, but I think they've also recognized that for their case, the coach was probably the coach is the one that had the depth of tennis knowledge, so they kind of did take a step back, and I think they were good at recognizing when they needed to step back.
Okay, good, good. And did you like it that way, or would you prefer it to be a different way?
No, I really do, I do like it, but I liked it because I'm kind of obsessed with tennis, and even when I'm off the court, I'm always talking about it. And so I think it was constructive for being able to go home and still kind of try to continue the process of learning. Where it's the weekend, I'm not able to see the coach, but just I think kind of bouncing off my parents and them pushing us to continue improving. I think that for at least for my personality, I think that was positive. But I do recognize, I know sometimes if the parents' role can be overwhelming if they're constantly focusing on tennis. But for me, I don't think I would change the way my parents were with in that
Okay.
respect.
Awesome. And when you first started to learn tennis, what was more or less the coaching style you received? Was it more like experiential, go and hit the ball and play points and figure it out, or it was very technical, or it was an I don't know, a philosophical approach? Let's fight for everything. How was your
Um,
upbringing in that
when
sense?
I first started, actually, so I mentioned there was a coach named Kenneth Collins. There was also another coach there named Nick Hall, who's an Australian guy. And this Nick guy was very, very technical. Like you would go and do a lesson, and he was basically grading you on the beauty of your strokes, the technique, and making sure you get the fundamentals. But I think I spent most of my time there with Kenneth, and his was really mostly about mindset. I think he did work with tactics, but a lot of it was, he always said he wanted to have a blue collar mentality in a white collar sport, where it's about going there and just digging in. And I think especially when I was younger, I was I was underweight and very short, and I had no weapons off the ground. And so my success in the juniors up until I was maybe like 16 or 17, when I started growing, was really on kind of grinding and trying to find a way to win. Even if it wasn't very easy. I wasn't winning quick matches.
So I heard here that so when did you start to realize you play good tennis? Before 16, or when you grew?
I think it's been a bit of a journey for me, trying to, even now today, still coming to terms with the idea of good tennis or bad tennis. I think I'm just trying to realize that I don't think there's really much such thing as good tennis. But I can say when I started, when I was younger, I'm super competitive, perfectly content to do whatever it took for me to win. If it was ugly tennis, but just trying to keep balls in. And then I think when I started developing, oh, sorry, I'll also say is that I was very tactical. It was a bright kid, and I would see what was going on the court. But I think because I didn't have any weapons, I kind of lacked the self-confidence. So everything that I focused on was, okay, how do I beat this guy? What are his weaknesses? And I think that was, useful. But then when I started growing and I started developing weapons, um, even though I could hit the ball bigger, I still think that I had this lack of belief in myself, because most of my tennis career was just kind of retrieving and, slicing and, all these different, just different tactics to try to beat people that were bigger than me. So I still didn't fully believe in myself. And then what I kind of overcorrected, where I spent a couple of years, basically from maybe 15 to probably 21, probably until a couple months ago, having the mindset that, well, my weapon, only thing that matters is me. My weapon is going to win or lose me this match, and that's it. And then kind of neglecting the aspects of what your opponent's doing and just what's going on the court. And so I think that probably not until maybe honestly a couple months ago, when I am starting to learn how to blend the two, where I'm not seeking pretty tennis. Obviously, I'm going to go with my strengths and try to be aggressive, but then also at the end of the day, going to a tournament to try to win, and then going back to the practice court and trying to improve my game, whether that looks pretty to someone else or not.
Understand. Understand. That's a good blend there. And you said you were on your parents because you wanted to play more tennis, and you could only play 3 times per week at the beginning. What motivated you? What was that drive that said, "Hey, let's go and hit balls"? What was it? Did you have any role models or?
Well, I think I would definitely say my parents. Well, I'll say first, as I just love tennis. Like I just get so much enjoyment from playing it. But I think the thing that motivates me to also embrace the less fun parts of tennis is probably my parents. I can say my dad has been a very big role model in terms of having a plan and sticking to it. I know he was when he was 17, he was like a little overweight, and then he said, that he was going to run 6 miles every day, and now he's 55 and he still goes out and runs every single day. I remember he was even in the paper one time when he went to Brown University because it was 4 degrees in a snowstorm. He just put on full gear, a ski mask, and still went for a 6 mile run. He made the local paper because of
He
how
still
crazy
does
it
it?
was. Yeah, no, he still does every day. Every
Wow.
day, like he still goes out for, well, now it's shortened to 4 miles. He's getting, but still he's running every day. And I think seeing that, I knew that I really wanted to get better at tennis. And I think that seeing that kind of, it made it clear to me that I had to get repetitions in order to improve. And so, for example, when I was playing 2 times a week, I was playing on Tuesday and Thursday, and my older sister, who was a little more advanced than me at the time, was playing Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so I would go to the place. I wasn't allowed to play, but my mom would bring me there because she's there to watch my sister. And I would just hit, I brought my racket and a ball and would hit against the fence. But it wasn't, it's not a wall. The ball could barely bounce back. It's like those metal fences you see on the outside of court. But I would play games where I'd have to hit, in order to get 1 point, I had to hit 20 in a row, and I would just try to play a match like that. So if I miss, it's love 15. Then I play 20 in a row, it's 15 all, and I would just do stuff like that because I just wanted to keep hitting so I can, eventually make it to the Monday, Wednesday, Friday group, and then make it to the 5 days a week group.
Wow. And how old were you then, more or less?
I was 8, but between the ages of 8, 9, I think I started playing 5 days a week when I was like 10 or 11.
Okay. And I'll ask you again this one because I want to have a little bit more clarity.
Mm-hmm.
When did you have your first successes that you say, okay, I belong to the better players than the worst? No, because I had my insight at some point when I was, I think, 11. I said, well, I played better than most of the other guys. I didn't know that before.
It was when I was 10. I actually can point to a specific tournament. I mean, this is, relative. This is in Florida. Like I was, I think I was number 2 in the boys tens. I was number 2 in the state. And there was a point where I played at the state closed tournament in June. And I remember I was unseeded, and then I beat one of the top seeds in the second round. And after I won, again, I think my confidence was still lower, where I was trying to convince myself, oh, he must have played badly. I beat this guy 6-4, 6-2. How did I do that? He must have played badly. But then after that tournament, I moved up in the rankings, and I made the finals of the next one, made the finals of the next one, and then finally won. The next, I guess now would be it was called a designated back then. I guess it's a level 5. They only had them like 4 times a year for the boys tens. But I, finals, then won one. And I think that when I moved up to top 5 and then number 2 in the state, I thought, okay, no, I guess it's above just recreational play. Like now I'm a competitive tennis player, and my drive is to go and, be number 1 next. And, I think so it was when I was around 10 years old.
Okay. So there you graduated as a recreational, went into competitive tennis.
Yeah.
Do you still have some of those boys around you, like still playing tennis? The ones that studied with you?
The person that I beat, I mean, I don't know if a couple of them I can say yes. I know actually a couple of the people that I would play against are actually my teammates now at Cornell. People that I would play in the boys 12s. But for the most part, that's the thing that's been kind of weird now, now I'm 21 is, as you keep going through the journey, I see more and more people kind of either dropping off or just, quitting tennis or just finishing their careers a little earlier than I plan on doing it. So, but no, I can definitely think of a few people that I was playing in the boys tens that are still, active right now. They'd be in college.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, it's fun when you look at photos and you start to look back how many people drop along the way. No,
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I can now that I'm older, I can see some of those photos as well. Evan, another question: Have you had in these years playing tennis any moment of insight where you say, "Wow, I understood this, that it was all the time in front of my nose and I couldn't see it." Whatever it be, it could be a technical thing or a mental thing, or have you had?
100%. Again, honestly, just this year, again, within the past couple of months, I think the biggest lesson that I've learned this year is the idea of like partial perfectionism, and that like I'm a perfectionist, and I always want to, in both school and tennis. Like, if I'm doing something, I have to get straight A's. I have to win everything, or not even just win everything, but my shots have to be perfect. And I thought then I would start getting, I guess, analysis paralysis, when I would say, okay, I want to achieve this goal, and then these are the things that I have to do in order to get it. And if I look at all that and I'm like, oh, there's not enough time in the day, I would completely freak out, and and kind of lose my way. And then almost, instead of, if let's say on a given day I could do 90%, I do 90% rather than it being 100 or zero. And I can say, for example, I wanted to this year start practicing my serve every day, and then early in the year I hurt my back. Like, I really couldn't serve for a couple of months. And usually before, that would be a huge wrench in my plans. I'd get so upset. And then but this time I said, okay, at home, I'm just going to go and just practice my ball toss. I'm just going to go and just do, 20 perfect ball tosses in a row. I'm going to, stretch my shoulder, make sure my arm is loose, so that when I come back, once my back is healed, I can come back and serve well. Like, even just small steps like that have helped me to continue improving. And actually, the other thing, actually, an arguably bigger lesson that I've learned this year, is trying to stress the importance of improvement over, instead of trying to evaluate my current level, I'm just every day trying to focus on improving. And so, a big advice I would give to anyone that's, I guess, younger than me is, UTR and tennis recruiting, they might be great tools for like college coaches, but they're absolute poison for players. And I know I was doing some coaching and going around younger players and just hearing them obsessed, talking about, oh, I'm an 8, this guy's a 7, I lost to this guy. And just kind of memorizing everyone's ratings. And for myself, I'm someone that memorizes a lot of things. And when I was younger, I was doing the same thing and getting obsessed with it. But then I realized that was me. If my happiness is gonna be based on what my current level is, or what what the algorithm says my level is, that's not sustainable. Instead, I should go to bed every day and think, okay, am I better today than I was yesterday? Or am I better tonight than I was this morning before I stepped on the court? I can go to sleep happy and then just keep building on it. So I think that way, you not only can work towards your goals, but once you even reach the goal you set, you're never done. And I think if you set your goal on a number, there's like an end point. And the thing that's most important for me is that there's no end until I'm physically unable to play or something happens. I'm just there to just keep improving, and then see how good I can get, rather than thinking, okay, once I get to, I don't know, a 14, I can be happy. And I think, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Evan, I still remember one thing that made a huge impact on me, and it was Jimmy Connors. Jimmy Connors said, well, he's older than me, and he was one of the idols when I started to play tennis. And then when I started to compete as a professional, he was still very, very good. And he played very long, like I think until he was 37, 38, or maybe more, I don't know. But one day, long before that, somebody asked him, how long are you going to keep on playing tennis? And he said, as long as I feel I have something to improve. And that gave me so much motivation, because I say, wow, what a mentality, no? What a
Mhm.
mentality. Because what you're saying is, instead of measuring yourself like this, no, you measure yourself by your feelings and emotions, and what you're trying to bring into the day.
Mhm.
Is very good. I
I
like it
mean,
as well.
no, I mean, I'm a big math guy, and I understand things a lot of times when I just refer to things that I'm learning. And one of the ways that I keep telling myself is, if I was, in calculus, you learn position by time, and I said I'm only concerned with the first derivative. It's my velocity, not my position. And then if I really want to go, it can be my acceleration. Like, how quickly am I improving? But I don't care. I'm trying to just hammer it in my head. I do not care where I am right now. If I go, even when I go to a tournament, going to a tournament, I'm there to win, but I'm not there to evaluate my level. I don't want to go and say, oh, I won this tournament, that means I'm good, or I lost, that means I must be bad. Or if I lose, I have to, a habit I used to have is, I play a match, I feel some way about it, and then you rush to UTR to see, okay, what was that guy? And then seeing on what our UTRs were, that would determine whether or not I played a good match. And that's just,
Right.
now looking back, that's just lunacy. And instead, it's it's because you never, the person could have played amazingly, could have played poorly. You could have played amazing, could have played poorly. It doesn't that it's just about, did I get better? Did I get worse? And you always just
Yeah,
want it to be the
it's
former.
true. I have some experiences like that also that were very strange to me, and I'm gonna share it here. For example, when I was finishing with tennis, um, my last year I was injured, but right before that I was around 200, 200 and something on the in the ranking. But I couldn't play for some time. So when I was preparing to play my club matches in Germany, and I went to France to play some money tournaments, and I remember getting there and playing with the students, so college students, so French college students, guys with a level you can't even imagine, and they had zero ATP points, zero, and they had a level. So to measure somebody by the ranking is just like an approximation. It could be, but I played guys there that had a huge game, and maybe if they would have played ATP, maybe they would have been good. Maybe not. Maybe the pressure would have destroyed them. Who knows? No, but it's true. I mean, the level you play is not determined also all the time by your ranking. It's just an orientation there,
Yeah. And
because you
another
can.
thing I would even say is that, yeah, when I based when my assessment of the match was entirely on that, it kind of ignored, it basically stunted my growth, because then I couldn't actually look at why I lost. If I played, because I could play someone who's identical level, but maybe their game style is just poison to me. And let's say people ranked lower than me will beat this guy, but this guy has a game that just makes me uncomfortable. I look, and then if I just divorce myself from the who says who is supposed to win, if the algorithm says that this guy's better than me or worse than me, instead I'm like, okay, this guy I've been exposed today, whether or not this guy was lower than me, he played a game style that made me uncomfortable. Now I know I can just go back to practice and work on that thing, rather than I lose that match and then it's, oh my God, this guy was lower than me, and now that must mean I'm not as good as I thought I was. I'm worse. You could play against someone and kill them. Yeah, have a great day if you match up well. And I just think that, yeah, if I focus just on improving and then looking for holes in my own game, rather than just trying to uh improve this number. And I think another thing is that, um when I'm searching and I look at everyone's rankings or ratings, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because I go on the court knowing which matches I should win and which matches I should lose. And some people it's different. Some people play better when they're higher, play worse when they're lower. For me, I think I did better when I was higher than the guy. But if I saw that the guy was higher than me and I put so much weight in that, every time I was winning, I'm doubting myself, like, oh, this guy must be playing badly, because the algorithm says that this guy should be killing me.
Yeah.
And then once you're in a tight moment, you're thinking that you throw in a double fault at a big moment, and then you've made happen what was supposed to happen in your mind. And I think that's just killer
Yeah.
for
I,
players.
I think that is when we create our own identity around results.
Mhm.
So then you say, oh, this is how it is. This is who I am. If I lose to this guy, or if this guy's better, that means I'm worse. And I think that's is very pervasive. Pervasive. It gets inside of you, and it's hard to take it out. But it's very important to work against that. Uh, what would you consider is your biggest challenge at this moment?
I would say my biggest challenge is on the mental side of still coming to terms going after my goals. For the like, because after college I want to play professional tennis, and I think, for the longest time, and even still now, I was so afraid to even say that out loud, because of how difficult it is and how much of a long shot it appears to be. And so I think, the same thing. If I lost a match, then I would say, oh, you lost at this level, you must be a complete idiot to think that you can even attempt to go after a higher level. And again, so that's still it's still back and forth. Like, I have a bad result and my confidence will dip, and then I'm questioning why I'm playing. But at the end of the day, I have to keep reminding myself that I'm playing because I enjoy it. And I just want to get there, and just, I think I have to, the thing I'm trying to practice is just acceptance, where I'm concerned with things that are in my control, and I'm not concerned with things that are outside of control. So I'm just going to do my best and do everything that I can. And if it turns out that my highest potential is never going to break top 100 or anything. If it even means I'm never going to get an ATP point in my life, as long as I've done everything that I can to maximize my potential, then I can be proud of what I've done. And I think that for the longest time, it's just been, you're an idiot. You're never gonna be top 100. Why are you doing this? You're wasting your time. And that's been the biggest challenge for me.
Good, good. Love it. Love it. I think that is called maturity, Evan.
Mhm.
Uh, have you learned any life lessons from the game, or from important life lessons? Of course, we learn many life lessons on the court, but important life lessons on the court, playing tennis, or from somebody around you that has impacted you. Could be a fitness coach, a tennis coach. I had two or three people that really made a huge impact on me. My tennis coach, one was and two were both my fitness coach and my psychologist. At some point in my development, I still remember today what I learned with them, and the way things change after getting these new insights. Have you had that?
You can name a couple people like where that really made a big impact and I guess in my progress. And so first, I guess I would say just the person that I started playing tennis with was Kenneth Collins. Again, that's the person when I was 8, basically coached me from when I was 7 until I was like 12. And again, I think the idea of his mentality of having, I guess, blue collar mentality in a white collar sport, where it's again,
I love that. Huh? I love that.
Yeah,
the blue collar, white collar. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I thought it was a great lesson to start hearing when you were young. Just just trying to, even if you can't, again, at the time I really needed it because I couldn't really out hit anyone. So even if you can't out hit them, you can just fight your hardest and try to, come out and win. And then when I was 12 or 13, I started playing with a guy named Eleazar Magajan, and he coached me for about 5 years. And I think where he really helped me was, and lesson, again, I'm still learning today, is to not care what other people think. It was, it probably even to a worse degree back then. I had the problem of being so self-conscious that I was afraid to speak my goals aloud. Or I was, looking at the people around me and seeing, oh, this guy is better than me, or this guy thinks he's better than me, and I played badly when I lost to him, and getting so caught up in how the people around me were doing, how I'm doing, comparing myself to others. And instead I think it's a lesson that I think he was trying to teach me for 5 years that, again, I'm only starting to understand now, where it's just, you take care of yourself.
It's amazing, no? But that happens, no?
Yeah.
One day you understand what they were trying to tell you.
Yeah.
Wait, let me interrupt you there. Do you still see Kenny Collins, or?
I sometimes keep in contact. Like, I see we're Facebook friends, but he doesn't live in Florida anymore. So he moved he moved out of the state like several years ago. So yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But it is crazy how again it just hits you. Like I'm just sitting down, and then I think, oh, back in 2015 he had this talk with me, and at the time I thought I understood it, and I was like, or it would just go in one ear and out the other. I'm like, okay, it's just, you think they're platitudes that they're just gonna say to everyone, and it's like, hey, give 110%, and everyone's like, okay, yeah, we all know you're supposed to give 100%, but I think actually that's what makes a big difference.
Yeah. The sound is getting a little bad. I don't know if
okay.
Is your connection good?
I don't
mine
know.
looks pretty good.
How is it now? Is it better? No.
Yeah, let's continue and see what happens. It's not that bad.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, what I was saying before was, that I just these lessons that I learned when I was 13 or 14 or 15, 16, that I learned them, but I hadn't internalized them yet. It's like I memorized a fact like that I was studying for school, but I didn't understand it. But yeah, and I guess more that this actually hit me like a month ago, but it was something that was told to me back in 2019. It was my college coach at Cornell, Silviu Tanasoyu, and I just come off a really good tournament. I played, but I was using this racket that it was defective. I had 5 of them, and I wasn't abusing my racket, but they just I had them play with them for 2 weeks, and then in the span of 2 weeks, all 5 of my rackets just broke, like the frame cracked one by one, until I had no rackets left. It was also, I had gotten them customized, And so I didn't have a replacement. I just had a good result. I beat this guy who was way higher than me on UTR, and then I went 3 sets in the final with another guy that was way higher than me, and I had momentum. But then I didn't have any rackets left, and then there was a tournament the very next week, and we had another racket that was like mine, but again, it wasn't customized to me, and I want to pull out of this tournament. And the coach was saying, "Come on, like it doesn't matter. Like why are you? It's like you're afraid of losing it because you don't want to. You're trying to protect your good results rather than like you should just go there to grow and learn, not there to evaluate your level." And I he convinced me, and I played the tournament, but I didn't understand. I was just thinking, okay, the coach is telling me to go. Like I know he's kind of right, but in the back of my head, I was still thinking this is fair. I was playing well. I have the momentum. Every time I'm playing well, something comes along, throws off my momentum. And so I played the tournament. I played. There was like a round robin. I won one match and lost two, and like my confidence was just destroyed. And I don't even think I started really playing well until that was in November, and I didn't start. I don't think I played like a good solid match until June of 2020. And so it really was. And at the time, again, I was just because the way I measured it, that was the way I thought is I play well, my confidence goes up. The second I have a bad loss, that means that my level is low, and then my confidence goes down. And usually, one loss will destroy my confidence more than one win would build my confidence up. And so then I would go down into a spiral and just start losing matches. And now I'm thinking, if I broke all my rackets and I had to borrow someone's, like I'm there to prove, to learn more, and to grow, not to protect this number that I have. But again, it wasn't until a month ago that I was thinking, oh yeah, I remember when he told me this in November of 2019. That I wish I had thought about that when I went there. Maybe I could have actually competed rather than spent half my mental energy like being upset about something that I could not control. So yeah.
So you spent 6 months maybe thinking that his advice was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, not wrong, but something where it was, oh, okay. It's easy to say that when you're not playing, even though he played for many years more than me. So, but again, it just didn't connect. It was something that, I've been told is right, and I trust that he's right, but I don't believe it yet. And I think now I actually believe it.
Yeah, we sending love now to your coach.
Yeah.
Good advice. All right, and one more question. If you were going to give an advice to little Evan when you started to play tennis, what would you tell him?
Yeah, I think it's the one that I said before. Is I would say steer clear. Well, how about this? You should base you play based on your desire to play. Like only play as long as it's something that you enjoy and you play for yourself. Don't play for the expectations of others. Don't play so you can be, so you can compare yourself to your peers. Just play so you can improve, and as long as you're having fun with it. And I would say judge your happiness should come from I did everything I could. So I guess I would just tell them it's all about the process and not about the results. And you may try to control. At the end of the day, everyone wants the results, but try as you may to control it. At the end of the day, you have a lot more success controlling the process and kind of leaving the results up to chance in a sense. And then you'll see, coincidentally or not so coincidentally, your results will improve. But you have to kind of divorce yourself from trying to control that thing.
Yeah, I think that's a huge concept, and it's so difficult, I see, even to put in words. But to understand is more difficult. That in the moment you let go of the results, you have more chances to achieving the results because you focus on what you're doing. So once you focus on doing what you need to do, the results are more probable. Even if you divorce from them and you say, okay, it happens in I don't know, you're playing a tiebreaker. The moment you start thinking, I have to win this tiebreaker, you might have more chances to lose it. Then if you focus on each point, each shot, each situation, it's funny, but it's very important to learn.
Yeah.
And now the last one, and this is a tough one maybe, but let's try to go through this one. Is there anything you dream about with with tennis, or with your life in general, that you say, okay, I would love to do this, and this would be a great legacy, not
Mhm.
only for me, but for generations after me?
Um, I guess, I mean, my dream would be to be, I guess at least a top. Well, not at least. Sorry, my goal would be to be a top 100 professional. Like, I guess the type of, person that you can see on television and all that. But it's. I think that, um, I while again that is something that I really really want. I think that it's been important for me to accept any outcome. And again, I'm still even trying to reorient. Like, my dream is honestly just is more about, I guess, now the process. Like, it's my dream to be a tennis professional. It's my dream to train every day and keep improving. I think that way I don't set a limit, because even if let's say I go and then, oh, you've cracked the top 100, you've reached your dreams, now what? Instead, I think if I try to just change my dream being about the lifestyle and the process, then you kind of ensure that you actually hit your ceiling, rather than arbitrary setting one that may actually be below your true capabilities. So, but I mean, in terms of outside of tennis, um, I want to take this mindset that I've learned in tennis and just apply. Like, I'm a very academic person, so I still want to keep learning. And and after tennis, I'd probably want to maybe go back, do a master's, or do something uh, related to tennis, maybe data science or computer science, like maybe even video analysis. But just but first things first is the tennis. It's just my dream to just maximize my potential, really.
Yeah, when I was playing, in the years that I was playing, it took me a lot of time to mature. Maybe because I was alone, I didn't have a coach until I was 24.
Mhm.
So it took me a really long time to understand. But I still remember to have seen Brad Gilbert
Mhm.
taking notes about tennis, and I thought, what a weird guy. But now I understand that he had a bigger picture. He was
Mhm.
trying to understand the game, and that's why I think he was a very good player, an amazing player. Sometimes he says winning ugly, but he was good.
Mhm.
He was good. He was smart, and I think that was the reason also why he became such a good coach as well. He had such a big impact. And you said that the other day, that really hit me, and I want to just point it out. You said it, because I see you always taking videos, and I say, how much video can Evan have and analyze? But now I understand why, because you have this bigger vision to understand maybe mechanics or technique, and I think that is fantastic. But because in the process of being a tennis player and doing this, you're gonna have such a deep knowledge when you finish walking the process, that is
Mhm.
gonna be so useful for other people.
Yeah.
I think that is fantastic. I mean, that's there you can really leave a legacy.
Oh yeah. No,
Like,
I definitely somewhere along. I do love. I'm even. I'm teaching my girlfriend to play. I remember when I was even younger, I had a stress fracture, and my sister. I was like teaching my back. I was 13. My sister was 15. I couldn't play, so I would go at the weekends and kind of coach my sister and improve her backhand. And I do love sharing tennis. I talk about tennis all day long. So I don't know when it would be, but like, I know at some point I definitely would want to coach someone, just to, whether it's like if I have a kid, and if if they're interested in tennis, whether it's that or it's, really anything. But I definitely don't ever want to be done with the tennis world. I'd want to be related to it in some way or another. So,
yeah. Now there we share the same, because I
mhm.
also think that is in these years, especially after coaching and reflecting about my own experiences, I write down everything I know, and I love to share it with either with
Mhm.
my students or with whoever is interested. Sometimes other coaches or my friends, and it's something also I don't want to give up.
Mhm.
Okay, Evan, it was good talking to you.
Thank you.
It was great to hear your insights, and I feel I don't know how long ago I met you, maybe a year or
Yeah,
maybe
it was.
less.
I think it was May of 2020. I think is when we met.
Yeah, and I've seen you maturing in this time, uh, maturing as a tennis player, but that is deeper than only tennis. I think you've been maturing mentally, and it's starting to reflect in your game. It has
Yeah.
been a nice process to see you make those steps forward.
Thank you.
So again, thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you when I see you.
Yeah. All right. Have a
All
good
right,
night.
take care. Bye,
Bye.
Evan.